Hey y'all, welcome to Southern Gmore Gals. I'm making two high-end looking spring wreaths made with dollar items. If you're new to my channel, I want to welcome you here. I'm Elizabeth, and if you're returning, welcome back. Well, I'm so glad you're stopping by today. I'm making two wreaths that are some of my favorite things. I love this time of the year with spring coming and being able to get out in the yard and garden. And I also love seeing the beautiful colors of the birds this time of the year. So both of these wreaths are going to kind of capture those looks, but they're going to give you a high-end look, but definitely some budget-friendly wreaths. So both of my wreath forms came from the Dollar Tree, and I'm going to make the flower pot wreath first. And I'm going to use the little small flower pots from the Dollar Tree. They come in a 3-pack. So I purchased 3 of these packs, but we're not going to use all of those on this wreath. So I wanted to make one of these flower pot wreaths for a while. I've been a little intimidated about the weight of the flower pot, and then what if it falls and breaks or one of the pots fall off of there? So I decided to use these zip ties, and these really anchor these in place really good, so I'm not afraid of the flower pots falling off. And with using the little small pots, the weight is okay. This is really a lightweight wreath. So I'm just going to take my zip tie. The flower pot already has a little hole on the bottom, and I'm just running that through and wrapping it around the wire on the wreath here. And I kind of laid my flower pots out first to kind of figure out what my pattern was going to be. Wanted the flower pot that's down in the center bottom of the wreath to kind of be somewhat upright, and then I kind of placed my other ones around, and I actually flipped my wreath over backwards is the side that I'm putting my flower pots, kind of in the side that has the groove in it. I felt like they sat in there a little bit better than using the normal side that you would put your things on a wreath. So here you can see there, I've got it flipped over, and you can see that it kind of goes down in those grooves. Now that first pot I put on there, I used 2 zip ties on that one. For some reason, that one wouldn't get very tight with me, and I think it was just really that zip tie. So these other ones, I'm just using 1 zip tie, and they get nice and secure. And I've got these kind of tilting different ways because I didn't want them to all be, really facing the same way, just like if your flower pots fell over outside. And that's the look that we're looking for. So if you've not ever seen me make a wreath before, I'm making this as I go. This is the first time I've made this wreath, so I'm not, definite in the way that I'm going to do everything on here. I'm kind of building it as I go. So we're kind of learning as we go here through the video. But I've got 7 pots on here. I have a couple of those left over. I purchased some of this burlap ribbon. I actually got it from the Dollar General, and you can find this ribbon at Walmart or at the Dollar Tree, and it's probably a much better value like at Walmart than at the Dollar Tree. It was $3 a roll, and I'm actually going to use 2 of those rolls on this wreath. So I just cut about 2-inch strips out of that burlap ribbon. I'm using some pipe cleaners from the Dollar Tree. Really doesn't matter which color that you use. I just was going to use the green here. I just cut those in half, the pipe cleaners, made a simple twist, and then I'm just doing a little simple twist with the burlap ribbon. And I'm going to put a piece of that ribbon in between each of the flower pots except the one section where 2 of them are facing each other. I got those a little bit tight there, and there just wasn't enough room there for me to put a piece in between it. So now we're getting to the good part here. So we're going to start filling our pots and filling in the rest of our wreath. Now all of the little greenery or the little floral picks I'm using are just pieces that I had from the Dollar Tree. A lot of this was left that I had from last spring. So there's 2 different ones. There's this one that I'm going to use, and there's another one here that has this little yellow piece in it, and I'm just going to peel pieces of that apart. For some reason, I didn't show you the whole piece when I started, but later in the video, you'll see another piece of it, so you can kind of see which piece that I'm using. So that first piece, I just twisted on with a zip tie to secure that in place good, and then I'm using some of that Spanish moss. I'm just kind of rolling it in a ball, hot gluing it into my pot. And then I have some of the green moss that's from the Dollar Tree. I glued a little bit of that on top. And then I'm taking another little piece of the floral picks and gluing that on top. And I'm hoping that the floral items will kind of hold some of that Spanish moss in place a little bit better. And then I'm hot gluing it down to the ribbon too. So it feels like it's in, that it's nice and secure here inside my pot. And I'm going to follow the same type pattern all the way around. I'm just going to kind of fill in with some Spanish moss and then go back and put a little piece of some of these floral pieces on top, and then a little bit of the green moss just wherever it needs to be filled in at. And I love the terracotta shade of these pots. It really pops with that green on the wreath. It's really starting to come together. And then also with that burlap really ties in. It makes really some beautiful neutral colors, but it has that little splash from those terracotta pots and that fresh look from the greenery for spring. Now, of course, the Spanish moss and that green moss, of course, they're really messy to work with. So I've got, a piece of like poster board that's down underneath me. And then I'm in my basement, so there's a concrete floor. So, this does make a mess. So you may want to, decide where you make this wreath at it. You may want to do it outside or do it, put something down, because when you pull that Spanish moss apart, it definitely has little pieces that go everywhere, and the green moss does too. And we're getting close to the top here. We're almost done, so I'm just continuing that process. I'm kind of rolling that Spanish moss in a ball, hot gluing it down in there, and then gluing a piece of those floral picks on top of there. And then I'm going to glue a couple more extra ones around just where it needs a little bit of filling in at. So stand back, look at your wreath, see if there's a little, if you can see any of the wire. We definitely don't want that. And I just made a really simple bow with that ribbon. I only have 2 loops on one side. I wanted something just kind of really light and simple. I just used some floral wire to tie that together, and I'm just tying it onto my wreath. And these right here at the end, these always get me. I always have to fold this on something else and cut it first, because 9 times out of 10, I'll cut it the wrong way. So just, you may want to practice on something else if you're like me, but I'm going to fold that ribbon in so it has kind of like those little ducktails or the little tails on it. But I have to practice every time on something else, or it'll end up being turned, turned the wrong way. I don't have much ribbon left, so we want to get this right the first time. So there's a picture of the little floral pieces. That's the main one that I'm using throughout the wreath, and I'm just pulling those pieces apart. And then this is the other one, and I think both of these came from the Dollar Tree. A lot of times they'll have the same things out each season, or for each spring, so hopefully you'll be able to find these at your Dollar Tree. And if not, look at Walmart, because sometimes they have some really great floral things that are only 97 cents too. And I put a larger piece of that on each side of the ribbon. I did use the zip ties again just to secure these in place, since there's 2 pieces here. So I did this on both sides of the ribbon with the zip ties. And you can see on my bow there, you can see the middle of that wire just a little bit. So I wanted something to kind of fill in right there. So I'm just using a piece of that. This was actually on the little floral piece that I had been taking apart. I put one down in that middle pot down in the bottom, and then I'm going to hot glue one there right in the center of my bow. And here you can see I'm actually going to cut them the right way now. So practice on something if you're like me, if you need a practice run before you actually do your bow there, because trust me, I've done that many times. I've cut it the wrong way. And if you're new to my channel, you can connect with us on Instagram and Facebook. I'd love to have you subscribe to our channel. We've got a really big giveaway planned when I reach 2,000 subscribers, and I have a goal to reach that by Easter, so I'd love to have your help with reaching 2,000 subscribers. And if you're already a subscriber, I want to say thank you so much for subscribing and supporting my channel. And this really turned out gorgeous. I was impressed myself. I love the color mix. I love the burlap, the terracotta, and the green. They mix so beautiful together. This really looks like something you could have purchased from Kirklands or from Home Goods store. Has a wonderful high-end look. You'll never, no one would ever guess that this was made with Dollar Tree items. It's a nice, lightweight wreath. I would probably recommend putting this inside. I don't really know how well that Spanish moss, I know it, feels really secure in there, but I don't know with the wind blowing and things exactly how it would do outside if there was a lot of wind. I'm going to hang mine inside on like a wooden cathedral piece. I think it'll just be beautiful there. So wonderful springtime look. Leave me a comment. Let me know what you think about this one. And you can make this for around $10 depending on what items that you already have. So I hope I inspired you to try something new. So I'm participating in a Hello Spring challenge today, and this is hosted by some of my YouTube friends. This is hosted by Tammy from The Rusted Willow, Ellie from DIY from House to Home, and Brenda from Rustic and Lace DIY. The host channels are listed down in my description box along with the playlist, so check out the other YouTubers and creators that are participating in the challenge today. Subscribe to their channels so you're giving us lots of support for our channels. Now this is really a fun wreath too. Has a great high-end look to it. I love birds and birdhouses for spring. I purchased 4 of the birds and 4 birdhouses from the Dollar Tree. And this was really fun to make. I don't know if I have a springtime video out where I redid some birds, and I redid these birds too. So I just tried to take a little bit of the glitter off and painted these birds. I did pop the top of the feathers off while I was painting them, and then I re-glued them. So I have like 2 little brown sparrows and 2 little bluebirds, and then I painted 2 of my birdhouses gray, and then 2 of them the off-white ivory shade of chalk paint. I used some of the antique wax on the roofs of the 2 white houses. I'm going to use the same wreath form from the Dollar Tree. I'm actually going to flip this one over backwards too, so the houses are going kind of down in the groove. I'm going to use these zip ties. My husband just loves me going out in his stuff and digging through his stuff, but no, he hates me doing that. But the only zip ties that I could find that we had in his stash out there were these great big ones that were big enough to fit on here. I would prefer, clear or white, but we didn't have any that big. So I'm using these black ones. You just want to be sure that you have it twisted around to the back where you're going to have the latch or the little secured part so that won't show in the front. I'm using some pipe cleaners again. I just cut those in half and then made a little simple twist. I'm going to use some of this white and pink mesh ribbon from the Dollar Tree. And once I started my mesh there, I actually wrapped around the wreath. I only did that one time. So I'm just kind of building this as I go here. So I'm going to twist that here in my pipe cleaner. And then I'm just going to work around to the next pipe cleaner. And then once I get all the way around the circle, I'll wrap it back around the wreath like I did at the beginning. So I have that double layer. I have the pink and the white together. And I'm just making a little twist with the pipe cleaner. Just really simple. I'm just adding this mesh ribbon to try to fill in and cover up some of that wire. And this that I'm going to make my little bird nest with, this is like a grapevine, a piece I found at the thrift store. I'd use this in another video, so I'm just going to cut a little piece here, use my hot glue gun to make a couple nests. And once I get started with the first section here, I'm going to really repeat that same pattern all the way around. I'm going to attach one of the bird nest or the little wreath here with the pipe cleaner, and then I'm going to wad up some Spanish moss kind of in a little ball, use my hot glue gun, glue that in here. Now these eggs, I made some Play-Doh eggs in my other springtime video, and they take forever to dry. I thought Play-Doh, if my kids were playing for it, it'd be dried out, like in an hour if I left it sitting out. But when I made the eggs, it took a long time for it to dry, so you can use Play-Doh. But I actually got in a hurry, so I just bought some jelly beans. Well, they didn't really want to take the paint. So I'm going to glue the eggs on here. I painted these one time, but I'm going to have to paint these again. So I'm going to have to glue them in here and build my wreath, and then I'll paint over these. So I wanted 6 of the eggs to be blue and then 6 of the eggs to be white. My little bird here, it comes with a little clip on the end, so that's awesome to attach him with. So I'm just going to clip him on here. If he's moving any, you can use a little hot glue from your glue gun too to secure him in place. And I have some of these little pink flowers. Those came from the Dollar Tree. I also have a white set of those. And then I have some of the Dollar Tree Baby's Breath. So those are the floral items I'm going to be using on here. And then I have some greenery like a vine that I purchased from the Dollar Tree that I'm going to be using. And you can paint those birdhouses, paint around that zip tie, but I didn't want to have to do that. So I'm going to use the vine pieces that I have, and I'm just going to hot glue those over the front of the birdhouses so I don't have to go back and paint those. So if you can find clear, that would be awesome. Zip ties if you have those, or you can also paint these, and they'll blend in really good because I've painted over several things I've attached to wreaths before. And I'm just going to follow now basically that same pattern. I'm going to put a wreath, put the Spanish moss, the eggs, and then the bird. And then I'm just going to go in and fill in with that greenery. I'm going to add some of the little vines. I'm going to use the vines to cover up the birdhouses or the zip tie on the birdhouse. And then I'm just going to fill in with a little bit of that baby's breath and the flowers. And I'm mainly using my glue gun to attach that. Some things, if I can get them to attach with the pipe cleaner that's already there to cover that up, I'll twist it into the pipe cleaner. And I'm going to list down in my description box, I'll have some of my other springtime videos that are out and my Easter videos. I have several Easter videos from last year too, so check those out. And I just had a springtime thrift video that's out that has some Easter decorations in it, so you won't want to miss those videos. I'm just making a bow with some floral wire with some of that mesh ribbon and just twisting that on. But you got to know, if you're in North Carolina and you have birdhouses outside, you're going to have a friend in there that you don't want. Now, we have beautiful bluebirds out here, but 9 times out of 10, if I've had an actual birdhouse outside, I have Mr. Snake in my house, or in the birdhouse, not in my house, but that'd be terrible. But snakes always get in birdhouses outside, so I'd much rather put a bird feeder outside than a birdhouse. But I love decorating with them. I love painting them and looking at them. I love these on this wreath, so I would probably recommend putting this inside, just because it has the little birds and everything. I think it's probably secure enough to go outside, but you may want to fill in those little holes if you live in North Carolina and put something in there, because you never know what might get in there. Well, here it is. I think it looks gorgeous. I love the pinks, the blues, and then a little bit of green in there. I think everything just looks beautiful. And the little eggs, it's just a great touch, alternating the blue and the white and the little brown birds. Let me know what you think about this one, or which one you like the best. I love them both. You could actually use both of them for spring. You could start out with one and swap it to the other one, because we've got plenty of time. It's just now the end of February. And this has a great high-end look. You'd never know that you purchased everything from the Dollar Tree. Would make a great Mother's Day gift too. Something like that to keep in mind. And I want to thank everybody for watching today. I want to thank the ladies for hosting the challenge today. Check out their information down in my description box, along with the playlist. If you're new to my channel, I'd love to have you subscribe. I hope you'll follow and watch some of our other videos. We're also going to have a mystery box challenge is coming out on Saturday, so that's always something that's really exciting. So you don't want to miss those videos. I want to thank everybody for watching. Definitely let me know which one of these wreaths you like the best, or if you just love them both. I hope I inspired you to try something new. Thanks, and have a great day.